Okay, has anyone seen this trend going around, and is anyone else freaking out but me? Or is it because I am on this hair journey and I'm just now really hyper aware of anything that is hair related?
And in 2025, one of my main goals is to keep my hair done. Keep the hair done. I want to keep my hair done. I don't want to wait to get my hair done for a special occasion. No. I am the special occasion. I just want to get my hair done 24/7. I don't care whether it's a bob, a braid, a weave, a wig.
Because when I hear the words every single month, I need to get my hair done, I'm not going to wait until a special occasion because I am the special occasion, which is completely true. You are the special occasion, but you don't need to get your hair done to feel done in order to feel like you are the main occasion. And so I'm here very quickly to just give you a little cautionary tale. There are girlies who have gone through that path who, if they could do it all over again, would run the other way because it's not it. You see the girlies talking about them, they want to regrow their edges, or they have so much split ends, or they have really itchy scalp and they go to a dermatologist and they get diagnosed with seborrheic dermatitis, dandruff girlies. These are the same girlies who've had the mentality of I need to always have my hair done. These are the girlies who don't ever give themselves the chance to just live and be present in their own hair, to caress and nurture and flourish their own hair. That's how we got to the point where we have no edges. That's how we got to the point where we are in our late 30s and we don't know how to do our own hair, and so we continuously just throw on the wig or throw on the braids, just anything to tuck the hair away that makes us not have to worry about it. That is how we get to the point of our hair breaking. You know, you comb your hair, it's very fragile, it's more fragile than it needs to. There's like chunks of hair that comes out. This is how we've gotten to the point again where your hair, it just doesn't grow past a certain length. Your hair has a whole ton of split ends. And that's just one part of the conversation. The aesthetics is just one part of the conversation. And then there's the other part of the conversation that is all about health. And so when we talk about health, there's a couple of videos on my channel that go over the kinds of chemicals that are in these braids that we put on our hair back to back to back to back. And so I'm not going to go too much into depth in this video because I have so many videos about them. But when you see the clips that go viral around how there's like chemicals in synthetic braiding hair that contain EDCs, endocrine disrupting chemicals that affect you, and how they contribute to these health issues that disproportionately affect the community that is most seen using and consuming those products, those things are real. So as you're buying the hair, the synthetic braiding hair, as you're buying the expressions, just keep this at the back of your mind. I don't think there have been conclusive data on just showing a direct link between these products and those particular illnesses, but there's a lot of correlations that I don't think we should look past. And yes, these days everything gives us cancer, but at the end of the day, it's about, I think, at least keeping the balance, right? Not doing too much of anything, and that's in every aspect of your life. Too much of anything is completely bad, so it's all about finding the balance. If you're gonna braid your hair, maybe do it 2 times, 3 times a year, maybe 4 times a year, and then the other maybe 6 times, or however other time, 8 times a year. You're doing your own hair, you're you're braiding your own hair, or maybe you're being intentional with the kinds of attachments and extensions that you're getting. Are they going to be human hair? Are they going to be yarn? Are they going to be wool? Just things that are a little bit more healthy for us. And then there's the pollution side of things. That's also a separate video that I talked about have you ever wondered, like, if synthetic braiding hair, like the expressions and all the connections that we use, is a type of plastic, and plastic is supposed to be recycled? Have we ever thought about what happens to like our braids, like when we take down our braids and we throw them in the trash? The amount of plastic that just accumulates in landfills. And I say landfills because the kind of synthetic fibers that braiding hair is made out of actually cannot be recycled in the traditional sense. Like, they have to have specialized recycling processes that are not very mainstream. So it's very, very difficult to find a recycling kind of plant for synthetic braiding hair, where a lot of times people either just reuse their braiding hair or they just upcycle. So they use maybe the braiding hair to produce other things like carpets, or they use it on like fashion projects, you know, so on and so forth. But have you ever thought of all the braids, like for me, all the braids that I've done with my hair, because I am a back to back to back to back hair braider who back in the day was also thinking I needed to get my hair done all the time. By the time that I take down a hairstyle, I know that I have the next hairstyle planned, because you're not going to catch me in my natural hair. And it's now at my big age that I'm trying to learn and recognize myself with my own hair. And you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. But had I normalized this when I was a little younger, not only would it be helpful to me, but whoever is around me who also looks like me, who also has my kind of hair, would have also benefited, because it's like, if I have this knowledge, I can always pass it on. But we don't really think about that. But anyway, going back to recycling, I've thought about the amount of just braiding hair that I've consumed in my lifetime, that I've thrown away, and I'm just like, yo, if these things just sit in landfills for thousands and thousands of years, I can only imagine the amount that I've used that's been sitting there, and how much is still left over from the years ago that I've been using braiding hair. And then I'm thinking about my cousins, I'm thinking about my aunties, I'm thinking about my community, you know what I mean? And then you're thinking about generations, and it's a lot. It's a lot, because if anything, we're supposed to be avoiding plastics, but actually it's kind of a little hard to do so, because there's plastic fibers in almost everything that we use, which again goes back to balance, right? If you can just use a little less, if you can just balance out the amount of exposure to plastics that you give yourself, then maybe that'll make the big difference. Okay, let's talk about finances. So apparently Black women, there's like a stat that I talk about in another video also, please check it out, because it goes more in depth. But there's a stat that says Black women spend 9 times more on hair products annually compared to non-Black women. Okay, just keep that in your mind. We spend 9 times more of our income on beauty products, hair products, than non-Black women. And 60% of these beauty products that are marketed to Black women contain potentially harmful chemicals. For example, this is a really good stat. So the EU has banned, I believe, about 1,400 different chemicals or ingredients from being added to beauty products. But in the United States, we've only banned about 11. So the 1,400, or the remainder, the difference that's been banned elsewhere, we in the United States are consuming. And if we are spending 9 times more of our income on Black hair products, or just hair products period, can you imagine just how much this is impacting us? And not just on the health side, but also on the finances side, because I know a lot of us have cupboards full of different kinds of hair products, a lot of which we haven't used, but then we go to the beauty supply store and we go there for a certain thing. We get there, we see all these other things that just like glitter, we get sidetracked, and we buy all these hair products that promise to take care of all these different hair insecurities, when we have similar hair products in the house that we haven't even opened, or that we've opened and we've probably used maybe once or twice. And then we take all those other products from the store, we add on to what we already have that we're not using, and it's just like the amount of money that we're just spending a year on hair products, on just hair, on braiding your hair, buying the hair, paying for the person who does your hair, or if you do your hair on your own, the amount of time that you put into it if you're doing it back to back to back. So the point of my story is, you can hop on the trend, but do so at your own discretion. Do so intentionally. Don't be like the rest of us who are getting older and are now trying to start recognizing ourselves without the braids, without the wigs. And the only reason we've gotten to this point is because maybe we've had a really bad reaction to all of these things. And it's crazy because a lot of these other options, other alternatives, have their own negative sides to it. Like, you can say, okay, I'm gonna switch the synthetic braiding hair and I'm gonna go to human hair instead, but then you're thinking about human hair too, and the way that it's sourced, and the fact that a lot of times it's not sourced in very ethical ways. But there are people who just they cut their losses, right? Nothing's gonna be absolutely completely perfect. There's always going to be a negative side to it. It's kind of like picking your battles and picking your demons. You know, what do you want to deal with, what do you not want to deal with. If we go just to sticking with your hair itself and not adding anything, just sticking with your own hair, braiding it, twisting it, there are people who have the kind of hair that cannot be exposed to just like environment. Like if it's too cold, whether your hair is in twists or braids, it breaks off. So it's like, what works for you? As long as you're thinking about your health first before aesthetics, because for a very long time we've prioritized aesthetics, and that's why we're here now. And it's not entirely our fault, because there's also the history there's also the history of black hair. Black hair has its own history. We also carry that at the back of our minds, where it's like, maybe if I have hair that bounces, I'll be a little prettier, I'll be considered prettier, I'll be considered desirable, and because of that maybe I'll feel more confident when I walk into certain rooms, you know. Or maybe if my hair is a little straighter, then I'm gonna feel like more accepted, I'm gonna feel like a pretty girl, you know. So we have a lot of that, where it's like we don't really think that our hair is pretty as it is, and unless it's quote unquote done, it's not enough. There's that one video that had gone viral about like this girl talking about, don't bring your natural hair to my event, and that the outrage on that was a lot. It was a lot. It was heavy. It was intense. And that also goes back to show that maybe there are women out there that are advocating for us. Your hair is appropriate for every single event. Your hair is high value. When we start overwhelming ourselves with hair love, you know, and it becomes a collective effort, then it'll be easier for us to say, I don't need to have my hair done back to back to back to back. You know what I mean? And done in a sense of tucking it into something else. You know, just being free like this makes me beautiful. And not only does it make you beautiful, but other people look at you and they're like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. And you're talking about like sometimes men also prefer women that are more natural. That's a woman that goes the extra mile to take care of herself. And yes, there's a convenient side of things, and it's like you wake up in the morning, you don't want to have to start styling your hair or straightening it, or, you know, putting it together. Or it's like, if it's a priority, you'll make time for it, point blank, period. And we have to be very careful, because a lot of the ways that women are targeted is through the things that they prioritize. So if we are prioritizing these wigs and these braids, and maybe it's not a targeted thing, maybe it's not a thing where it's like we're being targeted, but like when we're thinking about like capitalism and people cutting corners and exploiting other people and deregulating things, a lot of times the people who get the tail end of all of these issues is the women who prioritize the end products of those things. Right? Does that make sense? If we're prioritizing the braids, and braids are not regulated by the FDA, where people can throw all these chemicals in our braids and they sell it to us, and it's legal for them to sell it to us, and we buy it and we apply it to our hair, guess what all of the symptoms and all of the health implication and health effects are going to do? And guess who they're going to affect? The people who buy the end products, which is the people and the girlies, you and I, who consume braiding hair, or who wear wigs, or who put all these different hair products on our hair and on our scalp. It's a long conversation, but I do encourage you to check out some of the videos that I've taken a lot of time to research and put together and uploaded. For all the reasons to love your natural hair, again, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon. Oh, and one more thing I'm gonna say before I leave. Do you see how my hair is looking? And do you see how much I struggle to get it to look like this? And this is actually my first silk press, but I sweated it out and I have no idea what to do with it now. If you hop on that back to back to back, need to get my hair done trend, this is who you're gonna end up like at your big age, okay? I'm gonna be the scapegoat, and I'm gonna let you know, watch out, baby. Okay? Okay. But it's a journey, and I'm very, very proud of my journey. See you around.